advised.
Good morning, good morning. Welcome to the Lowveld where dawn has just broken and those donkeys have yet to take off their pajamas. This is Safari Live.
Ready.
Standing by.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live.
Well, they're not donkeys at all, really, are they? That is Equus burchelli, the plains zebra or Burchell zebra. And you are on a live safari here. My name is James Hendry, as I said, and out in the other vehicle we have got Baron, and Tayla will shortly to be on foot. For the next 3 hours, please talk to us, hashtag Safari Live questions at WildEarthTV, and that is the only way that you may, those are the only two methods you may use to get hold of us. Ask us your questions, send us your comments, it would be great to hear from you. Those are zebra, obviously, and there's some Impala just beyond them. It's still pretty dark. And because it's pretty dark, I've stopped here hoping to hear perhaps the call of the lions. We've come to the north, as 2 or 3 of us have done over the last sort of 4 days, every single drive, just to come and check if tracks of the Nkuhuma Pride haven't come back across from the north. Now, there were lions found yesterday to the north in Buffelshoek. They were not the Nkuhuma Pride, as far as I know. I think it was the recalcitrant Tsalala Pride or the Shimungwe Pride, both of whom seem to be without territory at the moment, and we can chat a bit about them a little bit later. But we're hoping for our favourite pride, the Nkuhumas. We think perhaps they killed a buffalo and ate it up there sort of 2 or 3 days ago. There were some vultures, but very few people have been around Buffelshoek, which is the reserve to the north of us, in case you're wondering what it is, and therefore we really don't know where our favourite pride of lions is. Byron is heading down towards Karula the queen, her 2 babies, and tracks in the offing of a male leopard as well down there. Karula, a 12-year-old female, her baby is about to come up against their first birthday on the 2nd of February. Now, Byron has attempted to find the leopards. So far he has failed, but he has found a reptile that terrifies the wits out of most local people here.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Byron, and on camera with me this morning is Dave. Now, I'd like to think we found something very interesting just to start off with. Now, have a look at this tree firstly. So we've got a bush willow next to us, and now have a look over there. Yes, it is a tiny baby chameleon. Now, what I'm going to do is, Dave, if I do that, no, let me see if I can balance the spotlight so you can still see, because I'd like to give you some reference as to how large it is. Is that all right? Yeah. Okay, don't move. There we go. Hold on a second. Have a look at this. This is an amazing little chameleon. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? A little baby chameleon. It is so beautiful. That is really, really fantastic. So I'm claiming that as the best chameleon spot I've ever done. Now my friend Judas, who I used to work with at Londolozi, the tracker, he used to find little chameleons like that fairly regularly, and I always used to wonder how the hell he did it. But that is amazing. What a lovely start. Beautiful little flap neck chameleon, baby chameleon. And oh yes, and I actually have photographic evidence of the snake which we saw last night in camp. Have a look at that. Beautiful little snake that wandered through camp, and then obviously I followed it to photograph it. And I think it was perhaps a little egg eater. That's what I do think it was. Alright, well, let us continue in our search for leopards. It's a beautiful morning, lovely, lovely morning. There's a bit of clouds in front of us at the moment. Now that's interesting. They were not there 5 minutes ago. They've just arrived. So I wonder what the day holds for us. It looks like some more cloud cover coming in. Now we are on the road which James explained to me that I should take. Actually still going to use the spotlight a little bit just to see if we can't spot these leopards. There are a few little pans. Let's see what James's explanation or directions are like. He said, if I've hit Skakuza, I've gone too far. So, that's a small little camp. Not actually that small, a big camp in Kruger National Park. One of the largest camps. So quite far from here, actually. I love these early, fresh summer mornings. They really are incredible. Just very peaceful, wonderful smells. Just you can smells very sandy, and you can smell the moisture on the plants and the leaves and the trees. Bill, you want to know, are there any, speaking of the snakes, you want to know, are there any animals or birds that are a threat to the adult black mamba? Bill, there are indeed. Now, there are a few various eagles that may take a chance and try and hunt a black mamba, but they do still have to be careful. But to be honest, Bill, it's very seldom and very rare that a large bird of prey would go for a black mamba. I'm just trying to have a very careful look around here. I think this is the position, or this is the area that James had the leopards in yesterday. I do see some tracks heading in this direction. I hope they haven't moved off. Bill, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I don't think so. An adult black mamba is a big snake and obviously moves very, very fast. So I've heard of a brown snake. Oh, here we go. There's a leopard right in front of us. Right in front of us. There we go. Oh, wonderful. This looks like... Now, I'm going to take a guess quickly at this, and this looks like little Hosana. Looks like a young male. Let's see. Yes, it is. It is indeed. That is great. So I can see already, judging by his size. Oh, fantastic. This is wonderful. Young leopard. Let's see. We're going to have a look if the others are around. Let's just see where he goes. I'm going to give him a bit of space. I'm sitting down. All right. I'll scan carefully around here. What a great start. Chameleon and now a young leopard. Looks like he's stalking. He's possibly playing with maybe his sibling or mother. I'm not too far from him. Like I said, I'm just going to watch him from here for a second. Watch. There he goes. All right, let's move a bit closer. Isn't that great? See, positive vibes, I think. James, your directions were spot on. Thank you very much. There they are. I can definitely see. All right, James has got something interesting to show you while I try reposition quickly.
We found something very special here. It's a black-backed jackal, and it's just gone in here. We came to Sydney's Dam, no lions there, no sign of lions, And then we looked to the left, and Rian said, "Oh, there it is." And I said, "What, Rian?" And he said, well, I won't tell you what he said, but it's a jackal. I'm quite nervous. There it goes. Oh, that's a pity. It's in front of us there. You see it, Rian? It's going to cross the road now, to the left. There we go. That's it. Let's carry on down here. Or let's just let it go out of view first. Might go out into the open there. That is the black-backed jackal. Scavenging little fellow. Isn't that nice? In the grass there. Let's carry on. You still got him there. I'll try and go around the corner and get us a bit closer. But I don't think he's going to allow us to park next to him or her. And it is an abiding mystery of the Sabi Sant as to why there aren't more jackals. As I've said to many of you before, in all the places I've worked in the Lowveld, the jackals have been almost ubiquitous in every single clearing. Every clearing like this would have a pair of them. You see it again. Carry on up the road here. There it is. Hello, Zaz. There's the... Can you see the jackal there? You're wondering about whether or not this is a member of the wild dog family. It is, absolutely. All of the dogs are part of that family, or most of them. The wild dogs, in fact, the European wolf, the jackal, the coyote, they're all part of the same family, and that is the canids, and this is absolutely one of them. But it's not the same genus, and they certainly couldn't interbreed. Interestingly, this is apparently it is the same genus as a wolf. A wolf is Canis lupus. This is Canis mesomelis. And so it's actually more closely related to a wolf than it is to a wild dog, which is Lycaon pictus. So it's got a slightly different name and different genetic makeup, and that's why they've got different botanical names, different zoological names. But they're not far related from each other at all. It's still knocking about up and down the road here. We should have some signal here. If we do lose signal here, I do apologize, but I think this car will be alright here, if I'm not mistaken. It's still on the road. He's just trotting up and down, but he doesn't like the vehicle. And that's just because he's not used to having vehicles around him. And I think this chap probably has his territory just north of the boundary in Buffelshoek. We've seen him around here quite often. And because Buffelshoek isn't occupied a huge amount, I think he probably isn't that used to vehicles. Now let's have a look over there, on top of the tree there. James, you're wondering about jackals and whether or not they scent mark on high places, and if that's part of their territorial marking. I haven't seen them defecate on high places. I suppose they might go to the Luon termite mounds if there happens to be one in their territory. It's certainly not something that I've noticed them do by default. But yes, absolutely, it would be some kind of territorial marking. All defecation or all waste product production is put to good use out here. Those are the Amur Falcons that come all the way from eastern Russia to summer with us here. And I'm trying to see, those look like females. Just get my book out. The males and females completely different. And they're waiting for just a little bit of heat so that they can leap onto the wing and catch their insects to eat in the air. And it always strikes me as slightly strange that a falcon like that should be a consumer only, almost exclusively, of termites and ants, rather than of, I don't know, small mammals and things. I mean, they are diving falcon birds. Yes, I think that was the female Amur falcon. She's the only one with a sort of spotting down the front that you could see, and the orange to yellow legs. The males tend to be pure grey, very clean grey, with red legs and a red cere. You can't really see the colour of the legs there, but you can see the spotted chest and belly. Right, Byron apparently has all of the Windsors together once more. Let's go and find out if they've finished their supper.
And all three of these beautiful leopards are together. This is Karula off to the right over there. There we go. And then this looks like little Xongile over here. And little Hosana, young male, is there feeding. He's definitely much darker than his mother and sister now that I look at it. His beautiful coat. And again, I'm amazed at how successful Karula is, this female leopard. She's done so well at providing food for them, a big male Impala. And it just shows you, incredible hunter. Very, very successful, and she's done so well to provide for these little cubs. Well, not so little cubs anymore, rather. Oh, this is incredible. I mean, I've said incredible about 3 times now, and Rebecca, I will stop, I promise. But this experience, to be able to sit with wild leopards like this, you know, how do you describe it? And unless you actually hear it, it is an amazing experience, and we are so privileged to be able to view them because, you know, and some of you may know and may realize how elusive leopards are. Extremely elusive, and if they do not want to be seen, you're not going to see them. So for them to trust us and allow us to view them like this, and I say allow us because if they didn't want us around, she would probably hiss and growl or just move off, take the cubs and move off. You see, she's doing a bit of hissing towards the young female at the moment, and you'll notice a little bit later on when these cubs start growing up, another few months, she'll most likely hiss and snarl a lot more at them, and that's often the sign that they need to move off and become independent. Now, it's interesting, just with them feeding. So I'm just having a look now. The male is feeding, the young male is feeding, and it's interesting. Usually leopards won't feed at the same time, and I'm referring to mainly when it's a female with cubs. They do take turns. I have seen young cubs feeding together, but it's very seldom. Usually it's one at a time, and then but little young female is watching very closely. Now, Lee Thompson, you'd like to know what is the difference between a male and a female leopard call? So they are actually very similarly. They are very, very close, and it's not that easy to tell the difference between the two. I mean, some people would argue and say, you know, the male call is a bit deeper and maybe a bit longer than the female call. It would be a bit louder because of the size of the animal, but I think to the untrained ear, it would be very difficult to tell the difference, especially if you hear them from a distance. I think it's similar with the male and female lion roar. Obviously, both male and females do call, and I think to the untrained ear, it would also appear as if they were the same. But a male lion call tends to be a bit deeper and a bit longer. Definitely, I mean, the best way to describe it is if I just call for you and see. I'll try my best, but a male lion is like a ooh, ooh. They draw it out. Ooh, ooh. Whereas a female, it might be a ooh, ooh. like a lot quicker, if that makes sense. So a little similar to the leopards. That male's got that deep rasping sound. I think I'm going to put the spotlight off now. No need for it. Stephanie, Xongile is that much smaller than Hosana, not because he gets preference at the meals, but purely because he is a male. He is bigger than a female. The male leopard will be twice the size of a female leopard in weight and obviously height. Height, is definitely much taller, longer, and just bigger. So it's purely because he's a young male, he is larger than the female. You can see she has fed very well on this Impala. There's no preference at a kill. I mean, they'll equally get food, and that's why they're both doing so well. So it's purely because he is a young male. Now, Shelley, now Hosana most likely wouldn't attack the female, his sister or Karula, but he'd probably hiss and snarl and try and protect the kill so that he can feed, but he won't. I don't think he'll necessarily attack them. I've seen them growl at each other occasionally, and especially when these young leopards get a bit older, the young males. I've seen a young male, 2 years old, still following his mother around and waiting for her to kill, and then go and basically scavenge off of her, which is interesting. It's amazing. A bearded woodpecker knocking in the distance. I'm sure you heard that knocking sound. I wonder what they've seen. Because the young female moved off to the right. I'm just trying to see where she's gone. I think she's just exploring a little bit. But Karula still seems very relaxed. Completely relaxed, in fact. Now, that is the perfect, well, maybe one of the top 3 leopard poses, I would say. I think obviously a leopard lying in a tree is number 1. A leopard on a termite mound perhaps number 2, but a leopard sitting in the long grass with head up, scanning around. This is definitely a beautiful, beautiful pose. Quite a few flies around already this early in the morning. I'll just have a look at how the weather has changed. Just have a look. It is misty. All of a sudden, completely misty. It's actually a lovely sighting. Seeing these leopards in the mist with the kill. Karula just moved and lay behind the bush. I'm not going to move the vehicle. We're in a lovely position. We can see all of them, or more or less. We just can't see the young female at the moment. But there's no need for us to move. We also, in sightings like this, with the leopards moving around a lot, I find that it's better to just sit and wait rather than trying to move and position all the time. Because at some point they are going to come into your view, and you're going to have a view of all of them when they, as I said, when they are active like this. So again, we will be patient. We're going to sit here for a while, I think, this morning. This is such a great sighting, so we're not going to go anywhere. Now, James is still wandering about. I wonder if he's managed to find anything. It's great that he saw that black-backed jackal. Let's go have a look what else he's found.
We haven't managed to find anything just yet, but what we have done is had a report from Herberto, who has roused himself and is currently preparing to go on his little stroll with Tayla. Down here, next to the Djuma Dam Cam, there are some baboons going bow, 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 which tells us that they've seen something that they are displeased with. For example, lions. But I've driven the northern boundary there and I found no evidence of them coming across. That's not to say that they didn't cross some other place and have come down here. So please keep an eye on the Djuma Dam Cam. There may well be some sight of lions on them as they come towards the pan, or maybe even onto quarantine. So we're going to move our way down back towards the camp and see if we can't pick up whatever it was that those baboons were shouting at. Tracks of a male leopard were around here yesterday as well, and he was calling. I'm pretty sure it was Tingana. We haven't seen him for a long time, so it would be very nice to meet up with him again. So who knows what we'll find coming out of the mist. As Byron was saying, of course, yes, lots of mist suddenly blown in. It was a crystalline morning, and now it's turning into, well, something slightly more blurry, if you like, and moisture-laden. Remains good hunting conditions for lions. I don't think Karula's going to be hunting anytime soon. I do wish you'd take that thing up into a tree, but I suppose it's a bit big, and we were discussing that yesterday. We were discussing how it is a very large, sort of probably at the upper end of the size of prey that she's able to kill. And for her to pull that up a tree, I think, would have been a monumental effort, and possibly not one that was worth the strain, especially given how skillful she is at killing things. So there was something of vital importance I had to tell you. Oh yes, I needed to remind you about social media. #SafariLive, questions at WildEarthTV. That's how you get hold of us at any stage during the course of the drive. You can send us comments, you can send us questions, you can tell us about your pet cat at home. No, rather don't do that. Unless it's showing exactly the same behaviors as the leopards. That's really, then you can tell us about it. If you have a pet at home, in fact this actually could be quite interesting. If you have pets at home and you think that they exhibit similar traits or similar behaviors to some of the wild animals that we get out here, I quite like that. I quite think that domestic animals are quite a nice window into the wild world sometimes. Let's go this way past the Galago pan. Look how misty it's got over there. I'm just going to stop the car and have a listen. Maybe we'll hear the contact call of lions going ho, 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 ho. It is bizarre. It was totally clear this morning. That's where WildEarthTV camp is, right in where Rion's pointing the camera. The mist masking the guests as they get themselves out of bed and prepare themselves for their game drives. It's one of the great things about this Wild Earth live safari is that we're out before anyone else is, which means that the tracks are fresh, the roads are fresh, nobody's driven around. It's like a whole new voyage of discovery every single morning. It always used to be slightly frustrating when I was a guide and the guests would sort of linger over their morning coffee, because it always felt like it was a bit old when we got out. Okay, we're going to go through here, see if we can find some lion tracks. Byron is still with the royal family. Let us go and greet them again.
I hope James manages to find some lion tracks this morning. Good luck, James. And James, you also mentioned that you hope Karula takes this kill up into the tree. Now, I'm just having a look around. I mean, she could possibly take it into that tree where Hosana is standing next to him right there. It may be a little bit difficult. It's very thick. But, and Mario, you wanted to know when she would take it up. Now, Mario, you know what happens in times like this in summer? The grass is very long, it's very green, there's a lot of moisture around, so the smell and the scent of the impala doesn't drift as much, and it almost gets masked. Now, it's much easier for 3 leopards to feed on a carcass on the ground, obviously, than it is for them to feed in a tree. But it all depends, you know. It's very difficult to say, actually, because it changes all the time. Leopards sometimes feed on a kill for half an hour and then decide they're going to take the kill up into a tree. Other times they'll feed on it for a day or two before they decide to take it up in the tree. Now you can see there's actually a lot of that impala that has been fed on. There is still quite a bit of meat there. So I am wondering, I mean, there's a nice tree just off to my left that she may be able to take it into. But there are some trees around if she did feel like it. You just look right next to us, a little bit further left, Dave. Right, yeah, this one.
Yeah, this one,
Yeah. If you have a look here, this beautiful, it looks like a marula, and small marula, but it's at an angle, so it might be a bit easier for her to climb up, but we know how powerful leopards are, and they can get up just about any tree. And carrying that carcass now, it would be a lot lighter because there's a lot of food that has been eaten off of that kill, so it is much lighter. Actually, as I was saying, that the scent is sometimes masked by the moisture in the long grass. I did just get a whiff of that carcass, but it's not very strong. It's not a bad smell just yet. And I think also because it is thick here for them, you know, there haven't been a lot of hyena around, not a lot of hyena activity. We heard yesterday, we heard some hyena, but I think maybe Karula knows something that we don't. Maybe the hyena are moving off in other areas, so she's clever. I think these animals are very intelligent. I have been fortunate enough to see leopards hoist their kills into trees a few times, and it's insane how they get it up sometimes, right up into the top of a tree. Very, very powerful. You see them using their 4 legs to grab, and those claws to literally grip onto the tree and pull a kill that sometimes weighs the same as themselves or heavier up into a tree. It's fascinating. I do find it fascinating. Rock socks. I'm not sure if that monitor lizard was eaten yesterday. No one went back to investigate. Now, I don't think so. I'll tell you why I say I don't think so, because the young male Hosana, he was finished with it and it was still whole, and Xongile was playing with it, but I don't think they actually fed on it, to be honest. And I think, again, you know, those monitor lizards have very thick skin. I don't think they would be that tasty. I mean, I don't know. I've never eaten monitor lizard before. But I think because it was quite thick, it was more of a learning experience for them. And again, not sure if they killed it or what actually happened to that monitor lizard. I would assume that one of them managed to kill it, but we saw the other day, was it James that had, oh dear, now I need to think. There was another leopard that managed to find a monitor lizard, a live monitor lizard, and the lizard used its tail and was basically hissing at the leopard, trying to bite it. Eventually the leopard thought, look, I'm not going to try any longer with this monitor, and moved off. Was it Tayla that saw it? Yeah. Tayla saw it, that's right. I cannot believe how quickly the weather has changed. Very misty at the moment. But I think it may clear off again later. And speaking of Tayla, she's out on walk this morning. Let's head to her so she can say good morning.
Good morning. It's so good to see all of you, though it's quite difficult because it's very misty, as I'm sure James and Byron have already told you, and I'm sure they've said the lame joke, gorillas in the mist. And today, it's millipedes in the mist. Oh, good morning. My name is Tayla McCurdy, and on camera with me is Craig and Herbert. He is searching for all sorts of wonderful things, but he is here too. Now, this I have to show you. I'm actually going to remove it from the tree because it is the biggest millipede I think I've ever seen. Come here. We have to just be patient because he's got to want to crawl onto my hands. Come on. And he's very good at holding on to these branches. Here we go. Now he's going to come. Come, little Xongile. No, you're not little at all. It is massive. I think you're in for a treat. Woo! And he's heavy. I won't be able to hold him up for too long because he is a giant millipede. How big is that? He is thicker than any of my fingers. That is how massive he is. Isn't that just incredible? And Craig says he wants to wear him on his head. Craig, you cannot wear a Xongile on your head. Don't be silly. Craig's full of jokes this morning. But now, these are one of my favorite little creatures, and it's so nice to see a big one like this. These are very, very difficult to find, few and far between, because often they get snatched up and eaten up before they can even reach the size. So this one has been very good at hiding away and, well, just making sure it stays out of harm's way, because I'm sure there's a couple of hornbills, a couple of civets, maybe even a giant scorpion that's lurking in a burrow that could take on this beast. Now we've got to be a little bit careful this morning. We're going to walk over here, and because actually I don't want to get my shoes wet. I think we have to cancel walk because the grass is wet and I can't possibly wet my shoes. Just joking. But you can see that it's exceptionally misty out here, and it's one thing being in a vehicle. However, I don't know if I want to be on the receiving end of a buffalo in the mist. I think that could be a little bit nerve-wracking, so we'll probably take it easy on quarantine where we've got big open areas, because safety is very important, and safety is the most important thing when you're out here in the bush, of course. You've got to stay safe. How many times did I say safe right there? Sorry, I'm being silly again. But we'd love to hear from you. So if you do got any questions, I may have had 2 cups of coffee this morning. I promise I'll never have 2 cups of coffee again. But if you've got any questions about this giant millipede, perhaps you've just started watching us. I know there are quite a few new viewers at the moment, and you're wondering about this strange creature. You can send them through to #SafariLive. Or emailing us, you can do that, questions@WildEarthTV. I think we'll probably put this millipede down though, so he can carry on adventure. But wasn't he lovely? And I think what we're going to go and do now is, like I said, we're going to stick to these areas, but I know that Herbert had baboons calling in the distance, so we're probably going to go and give James a hand as well and search for whatever startled the baboons. And well, speaking of James and baboons, let's go across to him and see if he's had any luck with the lions.
I think Tayla and all of us should always stick to safe areas. Tayla, do you normally walk in very dangerous areas? Now, there's another thing I wish to say about Tayla, and that is that she is prepared to handle millipedes in much the same way that Steph is. I find every single time I pick a millipede up and put it on my hand, it voids its bowels, and the dung of a millipede is a very smelly thing indeed, and so I tend to be much more careful when I pick them up. Over there in the mist, we have Impalas in the Mist, a new spectacular directed by Ridley Scott. Maybe this one can be directed by Rebecca Alexandra Christensen. Impalas in the Mist. Isn't that nice? It's quite a nice shot. It's not just that either your screen or our camera is blurry. That is genuinely, basically, a cumulonimbus cloud has sat down upon us. It's decided to take a rest from flying high in the sky, and it is now resting upon us, and we are driving through it. Now, of course, we do have a few viewers from New Zealand, and I imagine this is what it probably feels like all the time in New Zealand, the land of the long white cloud. We are now in the low felt of the low-hanging cotton wool thick cloud. It's very, very odd for this time of the day. It does have a slight sort of sea breeze tinge to it in the nose, so perhaps it has come off the Mozambican Channel. But it was coming from the southeast, so I'm not sure that that's possible. Right, now Leon, we've also got quite an interesting bird over there. And it's just, you see that fallen bit of dead stuff there? On the right-hand side of the fallen bit of dead stuff, there is a bird. There he is, well spotted. And that is Mrs. Red-backed Shrike. And Mrs. Red-backed Shrike must be feeling very at home at the moment, because she's come all the way from Europe, where I imagine this sort of weather is much more familiar. It's not cold at all, and I'm pretty sure the sun's going to burn this off. And if I look above my head, I can sort of see a vague tinge of azure blue, and some golden tinges also to the clouds. So that comes all the way from Europe. I don't think they breed here. And that's the female. The male looks like a little bandito. That was a super zoom of my face, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that. Full screenshot. James Hendry. There's a sandpiper. Just in the bushes there, and that I think is the common sandpiper. Can you see it there on the edge of the water? Just on the edge of that puddle there. In fact, no, I think he's the standard issue wood sandpiper that we've had all year. I've seen one common sandpiper and many, many wood sandpipers during the course of the year. What we're looking for there is the stripe over the top of the wing, not the wing, the eye, the thing that it sees through. I'm just going to find them in my book so that I can compare them for you. Sandpiper, sandgrouse. Oh, it is in an amorphous group called the shorebirds. It's going to be impossible to find. Here we go. And also looking for little bits and pieces of, well, snails and invertebrates and that sort of thing. Denise, you say this is the very first bird in your book that you can cross off. Well, that's great. Have you just started keeping your list, Denise? If so, there's number 2. That's the 3-banded plover. And that was indeed the wood sandpiper, everybody. That eye stripe is what gave it away. The others can look very similar, but they don't have the eye stripe. Having his morning bath. Now, it's always quite cute to watch a bird do that, but of course it's massively important. They don't do it purely for vanity. Those feathers have to be kept in very good condition. A little bit like a sort of, I guess you could describe it as him preparing for work, putting his suit on. And he must be very fastidious about his neatness, because if he isn't, he will plummet from the sky and bash his head on the ground. If he doesn't look after his feathers, he'll also get very cold. Now, thank you. Herbert just gave me a piece of very good news and then a piece of very bad news all in one sentence. He said on the radio, audio of lions, and I got excited. Then he said, deep inside Buffelshoek, which means way off to the north. Marco, you're wondering about the temperature, basically, and saying, do the birds not get cold with this mist? It's not cold, Marco. It's probably still about 19 degrees Celsius or so. And so, yeah, it's not cold. There's a little bit of a nip on this mist coming in here, but it's not cold enough to make those birds vaguely sort of worry about it. They'll be very happy to swim in this kind of weather. He's really giving himself a good clean before he goes off to try and find some things to eat. Now, I always say to you that these things eat invertebrates, little snails and that sort of thing. And I'm just going to check that I'm not lying to you. I know I'm not lying to you, but I want to know what else they eat, because one doesn't see a great number of snails knocking around here. Plover. I can't find the plover. Here we go. 3-banded. What have you found? A squirrel. Well done, Rian. It's in there somewhere. Food, mainly terrestrial and aquatic invertebrates. Yes, we know that, don't we, though? We want to know exactly what they eat. No, it doesn't seem to have been studied much. Oh, there we go. During breeding season, blah, 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 blah. Insects and their larvae, beetles, chironomid fly larvae, and crustaceans, small mollusks, and worms. Basically, it will eat anything of a meaty nature that is slightly smaller than it. And that is the general rule for many of the animals out here. Not so much that squirrel you're looking at. It, of course, favours nuts and fruits, but it will eat insects as well. Good. Well, it was quite a productive stop. Let's keep going. You may just be able to see that the light's got a bit brighter. Now, apparently Tayla very cryptically has found something in a bush. Let's go and find out what it is.
I found some berries on a bush. I don't know if I found something. My Xongile friend has long since gone, but we're looking at a Ziziphus macronata, or buffalo thorn, which is the common name. And it's actually quite a nice one because it is covered in these beautiful fruits, which are indeed edible. However, at the moment, you can see that they are green and not very delicious. So I'm going to taste what an unripe one tastes like. You can still eat them. No, you can't, because you will break your teeth. don't try and bite into an unripe ziziphus, otherwise you might come off, well, you might lose a tooth in the process. It is very hard and it has no flavor. It tastes like a frozen pea. At the moment it's not very delicious, but there's another one that has got some berries, but we'll have to go around this way because I don't want to, that's exactly what I was trying not to do, get stabbed by the thorns on the various trees. But here's one. You can see just over there. Sorry, Craig. Making Craig now going to the thorns. This is a Combretum imberbe, leadwood. It's a very small one, and it's not often that you get to see leadwoods of this size. It is teeny tiny, and it has still got a very, very long way to go before, of course, it can reach the heights of some of the largest leadwoods that I've seen out here, but it'll probably take maybe another 20 or 30 years to get anywhere close to that side. And I always find it incredible that once an elephant has ring-barked a leadwood, or perhaps ring-barked it, so completely killed it, no nutrients can flow up from the roots to the leaves, and then, well, it'll stand like that once it's died for another 50 years, which is crazy. But now we've got some other things to show. You might see that we're on a road at the moment. And the reason why we popped onto the road, because I thought that we should have a chat about conservation and road maintenance, just in case perhaps some of you are, well, thinking of grading your roads. You should always do so just after the rain, not when the roads are soaked, but it's quite nice to do it then. And if you have a look over here, you can see that this was recently repaired. We had a big grader and the tractors were going up and down yesterday, and because we've put these roads on this reserve, it's important that you try and help prevent soil erosion. That's probably one of the biggest effects that happens off of these roads, is that all the soil, all the sand will wash completely away when you've got heavy enough rains. Now, so what we'll do is, normally they'll often mix these roads with gravel, but out here, because it's so sandy, you don't need to. But in the Eastern Cape, we had to do it because of all the clay in the soil, and this became a big problem, is because when you're trying to navigate and the clay soil is very wet, or the black cotton soils, your tires just spin. It becomes like ice, and you know what it's like driving on ice. It's very difficult to control, so we often used to add gravel to some really bad sections of the road. It wasn't great for tracking then, but at least we weren't going to slide off of the cliff, which nobody really wanted. But now typically, and you can actually see some if you go down the road, you should be able to see the bumps as you sort of get all the way down to Herbie. Those are called bolsters, and they can get quite big. Herbie's gone now, he's now disappeared. He's obviously feeling a bit shy this morning. And they can get really, really big, and it's not a speed bump. A lot of people think it's out here to try and slow you down. It does work though. It does slow you down. But the main form, or the main reason for a bolster, is to stop the water also from sitting on the road. So normally, when you have a big bolster, you'll have a drain, which is what's here. I'm going to walk the drain. There should actually be a bolster or something over here. And then the water, so the tractor comes through and takes its blade and makes a big sort of furrow down the side, and the water will go and into the drainage line, and it cannot come back up unless that floods and then starts pushing the water back up here. But that should be good enough to, of course, filter the water back off into the bush. You may have noticed that I'm also holding a guarri tree, guarri branch, a very small, pathetic piece of a guarri tree, but it's because I had a couple of those mapani bees biting me, so doing what Byron does best and swatting myself after I got absolutely savaged yesterday by a swarm of them. They all decided to bite my legs at the same time. Today, they will not be able to do that because I'm prepared, and I shall chase them off for this. But it's one of my favorite trees, and I've told you this many, many times, and I've had to do it with a guarri tree, which now I don't know where there are any. They're scattered out here. They don't really grow too much in this area. Oh no, here's one. Let's go have a look at it. Haha, we climb up here. This is better. And here's a guarri tree. Lovely. We get so many different species. We get natalensis, we get the divinorum, we get the blue guarri, which I've forgotten the Latin name, but I'll remember it just now. But you get lots of the Euclea species all over South Africa. And I'm sad that we don't have any fruits, but their fruit should start coming in winter, so at least you'll have something to look forward to in the winter months, and not just worried about the summer months when most of the fruit comes around. But it's so good for putting fires out. I tell you not, if you ever come across and you're in South Africa and you see a fire on the side of the road, find a guarri tree if they're hopefully in that area, break a branch, a bigger branch than this. You'd probably burn yourself if you tried to put a fire out with this measly little stick. And very, very good. Swat away, the leaves don't catch fire, and within a couple of minutes that fire will be out. You may have to change branches quite often though, because at the rate at which you would be beating the ground, which will be quite hard, you will start to lose leaves. They sort of start to do this when you're banging away. Now I need a new fly swatter. Craig, why did you make me do that? You didn't. I'm always just talking nonsense. This is actually a much better one. Now I can reach my legs. But let's carry on. Herbie said he just wanted to check this road for any tracks. See, this road is quite nice, and it's a road that's used quite often. We often pick up leopard tracks on WildEarthTV access or lion tracks, and we did hear lions calling. It sounds like they're still in Buffelshoek though, but it sounds like somebody's moving because the roar is getting closer and closer. So we're going to keep examining this area, and I'm going to keep swatting away. We're going to go back across to James now, and I wonder if he heard the lions roaring too.
I'm going to make these. Right, we didn't hear any lions roaring, no, but we did hear monkeys alarm calling. Herbert is obviously with Tayla or close by, and there's some monkeys alarm calling close by to her. That is to the east of quarantine, around Yuri's house, so basically exactly where we were. We saw the Impala up inside the drainage line to the north of the. Maybe there's a cat coming through the mist there, perhaps Tingana, the big male, and the mist is now starting to lift, so we're speeding back there at, well, not quite 100 miles an hour, but certainly quite, well, with more urgency than we were a little earlier. Maybe a male lion, who knows. Now, the lions that were found yesterday, I just wanted to tell you, were in fact 2 Birmingham males, and they were on Buffelshoek. Taxon tells me that the tracks of the Nkahumas are still inside Manyeleti, so there are 2 properties off to the north of us at the moment, and hopefully that means that they will be back, well, if not for the weekend, for the TV show on our Monday morning, your Sunday evening. 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, Sunday evening, North America. Right, let's head across to Byron while we look for this leopard. He's still with the royal family.
Now I'm just repositioning quickly, just seeing if we can see Karula, and she's not far from us. Just give me a second so we can see Hosana too through this little gap. Can you see the dove? You can see her clearly. There we go, there's Karula. And I'm just trying to see where Xongile is. Can't see her at the moment. I'm not sure where she went. That's funny, and we spoke about it yesterday too. These leopards are. Sorry, which one was that? These leopards are exploring a lot more. These young leopards, the young male and the young female, they are definitely stretching their comfort zone. Let's put it that way. They are going a little bit further away from the female, exploring different areas, exploring their surroundings a lot more. Ask me, that's an interesting question, and I think it is true. You asked, with humans, generally women live longer than men. Is it the same with animals? From what I've seen, yes, it is. Female species do live a lot longer than men. and especially within predators. I've seen leopards, females live up to 17 or 18 years, whereas males, it's probably between 12 and 15. There's Karula just over there, lying down. Oh, hang on. Young Hosana's moving towards him. Let me try to get out the way here. Look how full his belly is. And so as I was saying, also with lions, getting back to that question, lions too. Lionesses tend to live to about 15, whereas males 10 to 12. Now, the reason is, or one of the reasons and theories, obviously, males of most species tend to reach maturity a little bit quicker than females, occasionally with some animals. But when they're in their prime, they're constantly fighting and battling for territory, for dominance. So there's a lot of fighting, and they tend to be challenged on a regular basis. So I think that could potentially be one of the reasons. But I'm not sure. See how she's snarling at the young cub. And again, remember I said this is gonna happen a lot more. Where when these cubs get a bit older, she's not going to tolerate them as much. I think what's happened there is she wants to go feed, and he's cutting her off and moving in front of her. So she's hissing at him, she's warning him, don't do that. Basically, don't do that. I want to feed. And there she goes to feed. You see, again, feeding one at a time. I wonder if she is going to start feeding. Now have a look. She's looking around, looking at that tree, smelling. Very aware, very alert. Oh, look at that. She's looking straight at us. Tana, if lions came into this area now, if they surprised the leopard, they would definitely kill the leopard too. Lions do not like competition. They do not like other predators. So they would definitely kill the leopards if they caught them unawares. The leopards would most likely, they are very quick and agile. They would run and jump into a tree as quickly as possible to try and get away from the lions. And then those lions would scavenge the kill, and they'll finish this impala carcass. And the leopards would just have to hide until the lions move off, or if they saw a gap, they'll run for it and get out of the area as quickly as possible. Look at her drag it. Wow, that's amazing. We'll see where she's going. I wonder where she's dragging it to. That is incredible. Hang on a second, hang on, stick with us. Let's see, I'm going to try to follow her. Our young Hosana is following her too. I wonder if she's found a tree that she'd like to maybe take it closer to. Okay, I'm just going to stop here because she's just through here. Oh, you see. Clever female. Remember I said with the thick bush it's easier to hide kills? She's dragged it into the bush. Now that will mask the smell a lot better and hide it from any vultures or anything like that might be circling. Now vultures don't usually scavenge off leopard kills, for one, because there's usually not a lot of food, and the other reason is they don't see them. They hide them in the trees, hide them in the bushes. And exactly what she has done now, she's hidden it in a bush, so possibly to try and get rid of some of the flies, mask the scent, and to hide it from other predators. because if vultures were circling around, then that would alert lions or hyena. I've seen a number of times where lions and hyenas see vultures circling, going down, and then what they do is they'll go into the area and they'll scavenge off whatever kill or carcass is around there. Now, this is amazing. She's decided to pull it right in there. We will see if I can get you another view, but I think if she's in there now feeding, we're probably not going to see her again. I'm just trying to have a look to see if I can see young Hosana. Yeah, there he is. I'm just going to move forward. Let's see, we might get a little view through here. Dave, can you see through there? There we go. I think this is our best bet, everyone. You can luckily still see them. But again, you see how amazingly clever she is. Taking it into a thicker bush, hiding it. Hopefully no one bothers them and they can finish the kill in peace. You can actually hear her crunching the bones. There are a lot of little flies around here at the moment, sure. Little biting flies, hopefully they don't bite us. Emma, that's actually a difficult question. You want to know how much does a leopard have to eat every day? Now, Emma, to be honest, they're opportunistic. So, for example, a leopard like this, or these three at least, they need to eat a few pounds of meat, probably once every 2 to 3 days. I don't think that this. I mean, I'm just trying to think, Emma. You know what? That's a difficult question because it is so variable. It's not to say that they need to eat meat every day. They don't. After a kill like this, they'll be able to feed. They'll be able to wait 2 or 3 days before they hunt or feed again. So it's not the end of the world if they don't eat every day. But when they do have food, because they are so opportunistic, if there's a chance that they can potentially feed on something, if there's food around, the female will hunt regardless. Even if she had this kill and some impala walk through, she'll most likely hunt again to try and catch some more food for them. But I would say they generally feed once every 3 days. That would be an average, I would say. Yeah, there are so many flies at the moment. Some of you might be asking, do leopards in captivity get fed every day? And I actually don't know. I would assume, and to be honest, I don't like to think about it. I don't like hearing about leopards or lions in captivity. I really don't. I don't agree with it, and I don't enjoy it. But I would assume that they probably get fed every day because they would get rationed food. They would get given smaller portions, but on a daily basis. That's what I think happens. Eyes on that termite mound. Also exploring. You can just see the young male through there. But again, I mentioned this earlier. I'm not going to move around too much because these leopards are moving about. And we've had such a lovely view of them. Let's just see what they do first. Hosana might decide to come back. Xongile might decide to come back. I think she's possibly just on the other side of that termite mound, lying somewhere. We'll wait it out a little bit longer And we'll see what these leopards get up to. But Tayla's at a dam. Let's go see what she has found.
I just want to listen. There's lions on the property. Herbert? What do you think? We were just listening to lion calls. There's one calling from in Buffelshoek. Something else is calling down here. We're just trying to figure out who's calling, where they're calling from. Still calling. There's a lot of vocalization going on. I don't think you can hear it because it's very far away. I even had to take my earpiece out to hear it properly. And we were actually coming down here to have a look if we can see, if we could follow up on what all the animals were shouting about this morning. You heard from James, the baboons were shouting, and then we just heard vervet monkeys shouting as well. So we weren't entirely sure. But you can see that there's lots of impala around at the moment, and they are all, well, very relaxed. The only thing that's making them slightly nervous at the moment is us. But they're okay, they've moved away, they know that they're faster than us, so we've got absolutely nothing to worry about. They've got nothing to worry about. But I think we're probably going to end up changing our plan. We'll have a little look at this watering hole. Let's go a bit closer. I see lots of terrapins, and then we'll go back and we're going to see if we can maybe head towards quarantine again, where we're higher up and it's open. There's nothing to really block the sound, and then we'll hear if we can hear where those lions are calling from again. But let's come and have a look at the water. Craig, look at all these heads that are popping out. Look at them. All the terrapins are in the small body of water. I love the way that they just pop their little nose up. It's like a little snorkel. And then they catch their breath, and then back underneath they go in search of some well delicious things to feast upon. And I know I keep going quiet. It's just because I'm so intrigued about what's going on with these lions at the moment. Because we haven't seen any tracks yet. And I had a dream last night. It was last night. I woke up at early hours of the morning, and I swear somebody knocked on my door and said that the kahumas were. But I think I'd obviously dreamed that. Maybe they are back. Maybe they've somehow snuck onto the property without us knowing. Wouldn't be the first time, of course, that has happened, and I hope that they are here somewhere so that we can have a better opportunity to find them. But look at with you, Craig. Obviously, he needs to start learning about the bush, so we're going to teach him. Craig, we're going to put you under a little bit of pressure this morning. Now, I'm not too concerned about approaching this small body of waters because we have a camera on it almost all day long. And I think that some of you would have spotted the crocodile if there was a crocodile here. And well, at this time of the year, that was a baboon. Baboon? Who are you shouting at? Me? Are you telling me to go away? They don't seem very panicked. The Impala is still very relaxed. I think they also got a little bit of a fright like I did when that baboon started talking. Okay, Craig, are you ready for an easy one? We're going to show. What footprint is this? This question's for Craig, but you can all send your answers in too if you like. You can hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or you can send them through questions@WildEarthTV, but there's lots of them. Craig, have you got a guess?
Yeah, but I'll let you know after everyone else.
No, but then you're going to hear the answers. Craig's now trying to get out of it. He's saying he'll only tell us once you all that are watching give your answer. I think you should give your answer first. What do you think, Craig? You can just, we can whisper it to me. Okay, Craig is giving me his answer. The baboon is now, what is he shouting at? It sounds like a big male baboon that's doing all the talking, but what happens with baboons though is, of course, you know that they have a super troop of males, an oligarchy, so all the strongest males in that troop will come together, and of course, well, he's obviously just letting everybody know that he's the boss and that he's in charge. It doesn't sound like he's spotted something and he's particularly shouting at anything, otherwise the rest of the gang would get involved and they'd start screaming and shouting too. And like I said, the Impala are way too relaxed. Oh, we're going to have a little look on the dam cam now. I hope you're ready. There we are. We can now do a little dance. Woo, I'm dancing. We're walking along the water. Am I running out of frame? Go back. I'll just moonwalk away. No. Craig is now obviously struggling to keep up with me because I'm so fast. Hey Craig, am I fast? But of course you can see us, we're standing here. It's beautiful. We're at this little watering hole. I'm standing close to the water's edge, which you should never do if you don't know if there's crocodiles in it or not. Like I said, the camera's on it all the time. And well, this view that you're looking at is another camera that we have based at this watering hole, which is quite amazing that you get to be able to watch it 24/7. And what you can't see, because the camera is above, but there's a hornbill, a yellow-billed hornbill. Rebecca, can we actually come back to me, because this is quite amazing. There is a hornbill sitting on the big light. And I don't know if you can see it. Here we go. Now have a look at this hornbill. It's exceptionally relaxed. Like I said, the yellow-billed hornbill. A bit of shininess that he's getting, but sorry, I just wanted to very quickly show you before he flew away, just to show you that he doesn't mind all the strange things coming out of that tree. But like I said, the dam cam, it's here, it's positioned. You can view it all the time, 24/7, and see what comes past the watering hole. And if you ever do see anything, maybe a leopard, lions, or a herd of elephants, please let us know. Hashtag Safari Live with the time and what you saw, what you thought you saw on Twitter, or send it through to questions@WildEarthTV, because it helps us a lot. First thing in the morning, we obviously weren't driving around in the middle of the night, so we don't know what was out and about. So if you can let us know, that'd be great. And I'm going to give you a helping hand with direction as well, because I can't just say that and then you don't know which way the animal went. So the way that the dam cam is facing, so we're looking out now, we're standing. You've got the little dam in front of you. That way is north. So to the left of the pan is north. That side where the sun is, rises I suppose everywhere the same, that is east. So going over the dam wall towards Gowrie Cut Line. Twin Dams is down there. Then this side, south. So if it's gone behind the camera towards Quarantine again, towards Philemon's Cut Line, that's south. And then west is straight through this corridor. You can see the big mast that also goes to Quarantine, and then that goes towards the DRC. So that will hopefully help you, of course, when giving us some answers. Siberia Zumi, you've had a bowl of funny this morning. You've said, but how do we report a wild Tayla? Well, you don't, because I think we have to treat me like you would treat a rhinoceros. Just elusive. Aren't you? No. Well, you can report me, and I'm standing here, and I'll do a little heel click for you on the dam cam. I don't know if Craig got that. Okay, we've got a couple of answers coming through, of course, for the quiz of the track that we're looking at. We'll go back to it. We're not going to move far from the dam, because we'll go and have a look as to why it is. And Marianne, you've said it is a waterbuck. Unfortunately, let's go have another look though. It is not a waterbuck. That track is a little bit too small to be a waterbuck. And I'll tell you why it's not a baby waterbuck. And it was something that I had to learn when guiding, is that you'd see a track and you'd go, oh, it's this, but it's too small. And you think to yourself, and it's the most ridiculous thing, you forget that you get baby animals, and well, they've got small feet as well at one point in their life. So let's find a nice one. There's lots of their tracks around here. And I hope that you're sending it through. Craig's given me his answer, but we'll wait. Let's go back again. Where's the one I circled? I probably now squashed the one that I circled. Ah, well done to Stephanie and Debbie. I'm just going to find another one now who have said Impala. Stephanie, Debbie, Craig. 100 Herbie points to the three of you. Now you've got 100 now, Craig. Are you going to keep score? There's a prize at the end of the year for it. No, I'm not going to keep the tally for your points. It's ridiculous. I'm on 6,000. I'm not. I don't have any Herbie points. But let's take another look. Baboon is very unhappy. Okay, so here we've got the track again. You can see it's quite heart-shaped at the back, very pointed and quite small. It's probably only about 5 centimeters in length. It's not a particularly large track, and the widest part of the track, unlike the antelope from the Trachylaphus family, so the spiraled horn antelope, it's at the back, not in the middle, but here at the back of the track. The Impala track, very sort of round, and the waterbuck track will be much larger than that, probably almost the size of the circle, but again also quite round, but then just wider. It wouldn't be as narrow. You draw it in the mud. No, don't look at that, that's terrible. Don't pretend I didn't. I thought I was going to draw it well, and I didn't draw it very well at all. Now I've got mud on my finger, let me wash it. That lovely dirty green water, that's so fantastic. Oh, there's Herbie. Better go towards Herbie now. Well, we're going to keep moving on now. I think I'm going to actually have a chat with Herbie and find out what he thinks we should do with regards to those lions calling. And that baboon is still shouting away at us, but I think it's time to go back to the fastest tire changer in the world.
I don't think we're going to be competing for any Formula 1 or IndyCar pit crew very soon. Anyway, we got it done, the tyres changed. The baboons are down there. We've come past Gallagher Pan now for the second time. Tayla and Herbert are around this area, and you've obviously heard those baboons going, "Bow! Bow!" I don't know why they're going, "Bow! Bow!" because I can't find tracks of anything that should make them want to go "Bow! Bow!" But they are indeed sitting in a tree somewhere around here going, "I'm not going to do it again." So I don't know what's going on. Something is amiss. Something is unpleasant for them. Maybe they have smelt lions in the mist. I can hear them calling still. I don't know if you heard them with Tayla. If you didn't, let me know immediately and I shall shut down the car and you'll be able to hear them going. A rough approximation of what I was doing there. And Tayla is now saying that there are hyena tracks all the way around camp, so perhaps it was hyenas that they're shouting at. I've never seen a baboon shout at a hyena before. It's not impossible by any stretch of the imagination, and I think my psychology is preventing me from believing that because I want there to be lions somewhere here. Anyway, our tyre is changed, we are back mobile. For how long? Well, we don't know that, but hopefully we shall not lose another one during the course of this drive. Sun has come out, the mist is burning away as predicted. There is a relatively pleasant temperature starting to form. Now, the thing with baboons and with monkeys and with squirrels when they're alarm calling is that they've actually got really good eyesight, which means that they will start yelling at something as soon as they see it. But that can be, I have found leopards 300 meters from where monkeys have been shouting at them before. So you've got to find a direction as to where they're looking. It's highly unlikely that whatever it is, well, it's not unlikely, but it's just as likely for the animal that they're shouting at to be right underneath the tree they're sitting in as it is for them to be sort of 300 meters away. It's almost 1,000 feet. In fact, it is 1,000 feet. So we drive very carefully through here and hope that the coolth of the morning still inspires whatever is causing the consternation to keep moving. I think it's going to be quite hot today, actually. Michael, while we drive through here, you're wondering about El Niño and La Niña, both of which do affect this area, and you're saying, is it possible that that's created the weather pattern that we're having here today? No, I don't think so. And I don't think so because that's that's a long-term phenomena that occurs. I mean, it starts all the way in the Pacific Ocean. So that's not what's brought in the mist here today. No, I don't think so. Maybe, you know, if you look eventually at the cause, it might be possible. These baboons are sitting in the camp. They're inside the WildEarthTV camp. I'll put my head through here. Well, apparently our signal not great. Let's head across to Byron and Karula. We'll keep searching this area.
Now have a look at this. We've got, looks like a little Hosana up in the tree. Karula was up there earlier. And not sure why she climbed up. She just went to go have a look. Now he's trying to move around. And the young female, Xongile, is feeding on the carcass at the moment. We can't really see her. She's just off in this bush right next to us, not far where, well, as you saw, where Karula was hiding the kill. So she's in there, in the ivy grape, it looks like it. Cissus cornifolia, that's the bush that she is in. But young Hosana is trying to find his feet up in this tree. This is amazing. Let's see what he does. He's wrapped himself around this somehow. And it's amazing how agile they are. Even with that full belly, he's still very active, still excited and keen to play. Let's see what